Member Mrs. Miller-Meeks of Iowa for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairwoman Bonamici, and I want to thank all of our witnesses that are here today. The Republicans tremendously value the role of all minority-serving institutions, including tribal colleges and universities. However, we've had 3 hearings on minority-serving institutions and 0 hearings on dedicated to the need to reform student loan programs. Dr. Akers, I think it's important that in this subcommittee we review the data behind the federal student loan portfolio and identify who in fact holds loan debt. As we've heard already this morning, students enrolled at TCUs often face socioeconomic and other challenges when they decide they want to pursue a quality post-secondary education. According to federal data, roughly half of TCU students in a given year receive a Pell Grant, but it is my understanding that very few TCU students borrow for their education. Is that correct, Dr. Akers?
That's correct.
So how does this compare to students attending, say, state public college or a private nonprofit?
A much greater share of those students will be borrowing to pay for their education.
So given that information, would mass student loan forgiveness help the vast majority of TCU students? And please explain why.
No, not at all. TCU students who largely do not carry any student debt would not stand to benefit from the type of one-time cancellation event that is rumored to be coming shortly from the White House.
So despite their, often challenging socioeconomic issues, they would not benefit to a significant degree by student loan debt forgiveness.
That's correct. That's correct. Generally, the people who will benefit from student loan cancellation tend to be of higher income. We know that 60% of outstanding student loan debt is held by borrowers in the top 40% of the income distribution. This group also makes 3/4 of loan payments. So this would be a benefit disproportionately to those people.
I was going to ask you that. I'd like to talk about the role of student choice in deciding what's done for higher education and what an individual student does. So I'm a physician, but I actually started at 16 when I left home, went to community college as well as worked. I worked my way through. I chose to get a degree in nursing so I could work at night. I later got a master's in education, and then I went to medical school. With every decision I made to advance my education, I made another calculated decision knowing that I would be responsible for financing my education. I was the 4th of 8 kids, and there was not a family that was going to support that education. According to Federal Reserve data, nearly 60% of outstanding student loan debt is held by borrowers with graduate degrees. During the department's most recent negotiated rulemaking sessions, department staff repeatedly noted that the expand the limited scope and not target benefits to low-income borrowers. So what potential consequences and costs if the department changes course and includes graduate borrowers who hold the majority of loan debt in yet another income-driven repayment plan that is expected to be far more generous than those already on the books?
My concern with the existing programs as well as the introduction of another is the complexity of those programs. We know that students are having a challenge time navigating what benefits are available to them. The Department of Education is having a difficult time effectively administering those programs. The other concern is what happens to prices as especially graduate students are able to borrow without limit, anticipating that marginal dollars that they borrow will necessarily be forgiven. This takes pressure off institutions to keep prices in line with value. In my view, will likely exacerbate the exorbitant tuition inflation that we're already facing.
Dr. Akers, since March of 2020, federal student loan borrowers have not paid a single penny on their loans, costing taxpayers $4.3 billion each month. The pause has continued. This is despite the disproportionately low unemployment rate of college graduates who are largely spared from the economic consequences of COVID-19. While these individuals got to work from home, blue-collar workers got laid off at rates unseen since the Great Depression. While most of these hardworking taxpayers have returned to work, they are still being forced to pay for affluent college graduates' now 2-year vacation from their student loans that have provided them their education in the first place. Dr. Akers, is there any justification for the repayment pause to be extended beyond August, yes or no?
Absolutely not.
Thank you very much. I yield back my time.
Thank you. And next I recognize Representative